Hello everybody, welcome, Doug here from 2 Plus Tub, and you know, my wife needed the downstairs, so I got kicked upstairs for a bit, and so by golly, I decided we're going to do some hobby, and we're going to have a great time doing it. So today, I'm going to be building up, let me make sure I got my screen in front of me here, my Savage Boar boys, and so I already have 10 of these built as the Maniacs, the more elite version. But for these guys, I'm going to keep them as the basic boar boys because I think a unit of 10 of these represents a fair amount of just crap to chew through. You know, the Bone Split is their thing, is their wall once per game gives them a 4-up ward save for a turn, which I think is pretty baller. So when you shove 30 naked orcs into someone's, 30 wounds of pork boys into someone's face with a 4-up ward, that's it's a good little pin, you know? It's not going to kill anything, but I'm not expecting it to. Now, the other stuff I have here... Oh, and I see Dragon King. Hey, buddy, if you can tell me if you can see and hear me okay, anyone who's watching, just so I know that everything's working fine, that would be great. Sometimes YouTube gives me a green light, and then next to it says, no data, and you're like, which is it? It tends to be the green light, by the way. The other thing I have here is I finished cleaning my metal miniatures. First I've done in quite a while. This is for the game Blood and Plunder. It is a historical miniatures game. I talked about it on a video on Saturday that went out, and it's become one of my new favorite things. It's just such an interesting design philosophy, and historical games are interesting because they do allow storytelling in a very cool way. So I've been painting some of these guys and trying not to switch to real world lore videos, just talking cool history entirely, because it just hit the right itch for me. I'm a history nut, always have been, particularly World War I. But there are certain pockets of time that are just fascinating, and if you're unfamiliar, this is the golden age of piracy, so like the Spanish Main and that kind of thing. You have various countries from that time period, and you can play as famous pirates if you want to recreate things. It's a really cool game. I dig it. Okay, sorry, I just had to clean off some of the shavings. The only thing I don't like about metal models is the metal shavings from when you're cleaning stuff up. And thank you guys, both of you, Captain Rel and Dragon King. I appreciate the feedback. Okay, we're going to build some boars, and then we're going to build some boys to accompany them. Okay, let's see, what can we talk about? I'm going to pull up the community page here. Let's have a chat. Now, I already did a video on my thoughts on the battle scroll update, so I'm not going to worry about that. I stand by him. It seems interesting and fun. That's all I got. But I do want to show off this guy. I don't even play Lord of the Rings. And look at this guy. That is such a cool stinking model, man. Again, I don't know. All I know is these were the guys in the third movie who had the coolest looking armor. But I'm not what you would call a Tolkien boy. Never have been. Let's see. Okay, this is the ultimate way to get yourself excited to paint. Are you ready? You get a unit, and you go pull out their battle tome. You find a section on that unit. So we're looking at bone splitters. Okay. There we go. It's the last paragraph, because that's fitting for being this unit. Poor boys on their own are not great. Finally, there are the mounted Snaggarucks, which act as the horns of the beast, because if you don't know, the Bone Splitters form the icon of a giant monster as it's closing its maw on its prey, the prey being another big beast. So I think that's pretty rad. So these represent the horns, right? Made up of savage boar boy maniacs. They use their high mobility to attack from an unexpected quarter before driving deep into enemy lines, gorging ragged holes into the foe. And it's just stuff like that that gives you the little bit of motivation you need sometimes. Because if you know me and have followed along for any amount of time, you know that I hate the building process. I am somebody, you know, it's funny when I sell a lot of stuff on eBay and I buy a lot of stuff on eBay. And it's so funny when people open a package of models, even if they haven't really done anything, or maybe all they did was build the kit. The value tanks because now it's an open box of models, or it's been built or something like that. And that never made sense to me. It's like, I would pay more for that because I hate building models. And as much as I hate building models, I also do not care about mold lines, which is really usually the qualm that mostly comes up when it comes to those eBay deals. But, so anyway, whole point, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but the whole point being, this is how you hang out and you have a good time as you're building models or doing whatever part of the hobby you don't like. Get yourself excited by how cool they sound in the book, you know? That to me is like the ultimate power of a battle tome. Like, and I say battle tome, but the same logic applies to like codexes and 40k and that kind of thing, where the book's only function is to get me super excited for models, in my opinion. And I think they do a pretty good job. I probably should have matched these up. Oh, they have a little... I don't know what the hell that is. Oh, C. Let's see. Okay, C and C. D and D. It's D&D. Actually, that would make sense. Yeah, so C and C. Okay. D. Okay. I've never seen these sprues before. I was expecting there to be a lot more dead space. They seem like decent kits. Yeah, honestly, most of the Savage stuff, that's why it stuck around for so long, man. I'm sorry, I made an assumption there, Ethan, on your gender, but that's why it stuck around for so long. And there's even like these really cool bits that I've wanted in so many other kits, where it's this animal's bone jaw, but it's split into two different things. So what you could do is create like an entire... The idea is that the Savage boss has like the maw of another animal tied onto his, so he gets that big jaw effect that like orcs in 40k have, but with bone. And I'm a sucker for that. That is my favorite bit in Warhammer of like the sprues, is the big orc maws that are in a lot of times in 40k with the metal jaw, or the metal bottom jaw. Same thing with the bone here. So like little stuff like that. The only part of this kit I don't like, to be honest, if you see these little, I'll use my knife here, these little things, these are actually the horns for the boar. So you like build the body, plug the ears in, and then the face on top of it. And so it's just this weird little, it's too specific. You can't replace it with anything else. It's a little bit strange. But anyway, I could wax on forever about this, but I like the kit. Even the boars, I think there's several... There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Yeah, there's several different head options and combinations you can make. One of the boars, they have different kinds of bottom jaws. I mean, like, it's certainly when you compare it to like some of the other orc kits that came out, like for 40k orcs, when you look at like the bikes and that kind of stuff, those are like some fat sprues. Those bike kits can stay around for a while. There's so many cool little bits that you can kit bash, and I think this comes kind of from that same era, where it's like, you know, maybe there's not a zillion options, but internally as a box set, there's quite a bit. We got a B and E, breaking and entering. Okay. Do the orc boys hold up detail-wise? It's tough to say, because when you look at them, the actual boys themselves. When you compare them to, say, the Ironjaws, I think in terms of muscular structure, yes. The reason it's hard to say is because they're basically naked. There's not a lot of detail to work with. I mean, if you look at like the Rock, there's a face here with one eye patch. I mean, the detail's all there. I certainly don't think they look as out of place as, say, half the Skaven units that you never see on the table, like the Acolytes and the old Rattling Cannon or whatever. Like, those models look way more out of place than these guys compared to Ironjaws. Cruel Boys, I think, obviously are aesthetically supposed to be their own thing, so I don't quite count them, but you know what I mean. Captain Rel, question. Would you have any suggestions for a blue slate stone color? Blue slate stone. You know, the first color that comes to mind when I think about that, let me see if I have it, if it's what I'm thinking. You know, the first color that came to mind, as far as like, even if it's just a base and then you build something up on top of it, for a blue slate stone, I think Nightlord's blue might be a good start. To get some of those blue hues in there, but then if you maybe built towards gray on top of it. That's my best guess. I am not a paint guy. I feel like if you went to Vince Ventrella's channel, he has about 50 videos and they're breaking down like, this is what blue means, this is what slate means, and then he has a whole series on blue slate because that guy is a crazy awesome content producer for very specific visual effects. Like, he has a video on everything, so I would definitely check there. If nothing else, if he has a stone slate video, I'm sure he would mention how to tint various colors. Hello, Elrit. What is up? You're just hanging out, building some basic boar boys. Nothing too fancy today. I want to direct everyone, in case you're curious about the information on bone splitters I'm working with, there is a great article online where someone was just explaining how well they were able to do with bone splitters at local events. Let me see here. Give me one sec. Where is this guy's name? Now, I'm going to say this not knowing anything about the person it's written. I'll make that very clear. So, in the internet age, it's important to be like, hey, if this guy's a douche, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Okay, here we go. It is on the blog Plastic Crake. And I'm not familiar with this guy's Shirt Ripper, but he's a guest guy. And basically, he does this great article, like something you'd see on Goonhammer, where he just breaks down the faction, explains the sub-factions, and kind of gives a rating system. But what I love is that all of those things are backed up by information. So this is kind of what I've been working on, and so I wanted to throw this on the screen and just kind of chat about it. Tell you what, I'll throw the link in the chat in case anybody is just really burning for it. But I'm just going to be here clipping away sprues and pretty much cleaning up mold lines, or like the connection joints here, so not a ton to look at on camera. So this is probably a good way to burn some time while we hang out and do boring building stuff. Have I mentioned I don't like building models? Pardon me. So, In terms of, so if you're not familiar with bone splitters, because a lot of people aren't in general, there's some really cool things here. That I also think that they are also the weakest of the Orc War Clans sub-armies, so like Iron Jaws, Cruel Boys, Bone Splitters, I think is the exact order of powerarchy, just because they're so nasty. But I do think that has meant that Bone Splitters can operate as sort of a dark horse army. They have questions that your opponent has to be able to answer, and then in that kind of pass-fail thing, I think there's room for some good tactical play. So the first one is Mystical Warpaint. 6-up board save all around. That is their tattoos saying, I'm never going to get hurt. Is it amazing? No. Does it save wounds over the course of a game? Yeah. There's a reason death players love it, you know, or kick themselves for not remembering and that kind of stuff. I think that's pretty cool, and it's not dependent on anything. You don't have to be near a hero. It's just straight up. And they do actually have a save. I think, well, I know the Khorne Warriors, when AOS first launched, they had to save a dash, the Blood Reavers. And people were like, that's not good. Anyway. We have the Bone Splitters wall. Once per game at the start of the combat phase, you can have your Bone Splitters general call a wall, and if he does, they have a 4-up ward for that save. For that phase. That save. Interesting that it's one phase. Really feel like it could have been, honestly, the turn, and it probably wouldn't be that broken on these guys. You know, but if you know you're staring down the barrel of a bunch of Lumineth archers or something like that, or, you know, the brutes charge you back or something, you got a pocket sand trap you can throw on them. That's kind of cool. I like that it's defensive. That was always my way to play in War Machine and Hordes. I really like armies that are attrition based. And a lot of times to me with attrition comes being able to take a punch. And then below that is Spirit of Gorka Morka. Units with 5 or more models, which is basically all of your infantry choices start at either 5 or 10. The other ones, so it's 5 if they're a boar rider, 10 if they're on foot. And then the only other real units are like the big stabbas, and they come in units of 2. So like, it's never going to affect them. There's no way to make them battle line, so yeah. Anyway, if there are 5 or more models, unmodified 6s in melee explode, and they basically make double hits. And so it's cool. I mean, it allows them to swing high in terms of numerical output. You know, I mean, because they also get bonuses when they charge and stuff like that. And of course, you have your hero throw in an extra die. Basically, the name of the game with Bone Splitters is rush forward, die real hard, and throw a bunch of dice while you're doing it. And y'all, I'm here for that. I'm about that life. That to me is the summation of what Warhammer should be. Absurdism, just rushing in, and then rah, 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 and then every victory is a Pyrrhic victory. And the last one, and probably the most important, is Tireless Trackers. After deployment, but before the first battle round begins, half your army rounded up can make a 5-inch move. And if you can both do that, you can roll off. Now, the reason Tireless Tracker is important is because there is a command trait. Great Hunter lets you do an 8-inch pre-game move with Tireless Tracker instead of 5. And so we'll go back up here and talk about this. And while I'm waxing more poetically and talking, I will go down to the downward cam so we can hang out. So the reason that's massive is your opponent oftentimes will start about 22 inches away from you. Obviously, there's room for that and wiggle room when it comes to terrain placement and all that kind of things, and deployment zones and what the mission is, of course. But like, that's pretty much the gap. So getting 8 inches of that for free on a boar that can already move 12, I'm gonna get in there. So yeah, I there, and they add 1 to charge rolls or something like that with the instrument. Oh yeah, they're getting in there. They're gonna have a great time. And when they get there, round 1, certainly they will, you know, I'm going to build the list to hopefully get the 1 drop, because I want to be able to rush forward turn 1. Or at least, you know, kind of be in a bid for it. So, if we are able to, then what you do is you push a whole bunch of beef up the center of the board, pin down as many units as you can. And then you have huge mobs of lots of multi-wound dudes, all with a 6-up save. Move on to the objectives, and you basically just try to hold them for the rest of the game. That is the plan, and it's actually how I like to play Warhammer. If you notice, if you followed it along for a while, and you know that many various armies that I have played, a reoccurring theme is strategy play that is specifically centered around objectives. I need to go hold this spot. I like the clarity that comes with, like, you need to be on more terrain at the end of the game than your opponent. All right, I'm gonna figure that out. That's a puzzle I can solve. I can't possibly comprehend every other army that exists out there and be able to keep track of what their particular brand of BS is. You know, like in terms of you know, what they're effective at and the shenanigans that different factions can do. So instead, I'm just gonna like figure out how do I win this mission and just worry about my stuff. And that is the heart of being a casual player. I ain't got time to learn all that, but well, that's not true. I have time. I have no interest. Certainly. Oh, I'm sorry. I was missing some stuff in the chat here. Morty57. Hello, everybody. Real wars make fictional wars less enjoyable. Am I right? I mean, I don't know if I would call the fake. I don't know. Fake one's enjoyable. Nah, I don't. My enthusiasm has not diminished because what is going on in the world right now and the naked ass of this particular orc riding a boar are very different. Nothing in this world is enjoyable if you think about it too much, whether it's sweatshop factories across the world making the things that we enjoy, or just depictions of stuff that we always thought was okay until we saw it in real life. So I guess my point is, we get to choose what makes us sad and what has the value of human life and stuff. I decided Warhammer does not hold that value, and so seeing the true suffering is not representative of this. Real war is not anything to do with Warhammer. The two are compartmentalized very differently in my brain. All right. W.Y. Hrafnin? I don't know how to say that, I'm sorry. Hey, Doug, I'm sure you've heard it before, but allow me to thank you for your videos. Aw, thank you. Really been helpful. Helped me deciding which AOX faction, and really entertaining. Oh, well, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'd love to hear that. Little hobby enthusiasm and positivity goes a long way, doesn't it? An easy point that is often missed. Lord Billy, I'm here for orc butts. Am I too late? No, we haven't even gotten to the orc butts. We're still building boar butts. I'm not seeing the... So what do I need? I need faces, jaws, and ears. Okay, so let's just start clipping. Here's a face. Man, I should save some of these like extra lower jaw bits because they do have multiple jaw options. Like put together a really gnarly looking spawn. And then, you know, start an entire Slaves to Darkness army all over again based on how cool that single model is, and then sell the whole thing. Well, thank you so much, W. That's really, really kind of you. I'm curious, is Wargamer Willie's in the chat? He made a donation that didn't show up on my screen on my end, and because it was in the interim when I was popping the chat out, and I would like to thank him. Hey, speak of the devil and he shall appear. What's up, Willie? Willie, I saw your comment, and you said that you asked a question yesterday, but I did not see it, because you threw something in the tip jar and here on the channel. If you throw something in the tip jar, I'll talk about whatever you want me to talk about, as long as it's sincere and relevant. So yeah, if anybody wants to do that, go ahead, but Willie did, and so I'd like to ask you, friend, what topic would you like to choose? While you're choosing that, great work on the Neve Black Talon review and lore. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciated that. I actually loved the Black Talon book, the first one, quite a bit. I thought it was a fun little adventure in the Mortal Realms. And Abel, what set are you building? These are the Savage Orc Boar Boys. Brr. How many do I need? So I know I have extras, so let me just do some quick math here. I think each set comes with 2 extra heads, if I'm not mistaken. 3 extra heads. Some of these boar heads, like most of them are pretty boring. Like they just, boring. But a couple of them have like super gnarly looking scars, and like one of them's missing an eye. It's like, oh yeah, that's what we're here for. But I will take all of the jaw options because it's an easy way, because the boars are so large. Like that whole mantra of like faces, bases, shields, of like that's how you make a good looking army, because that's, if you focus on those things, that's what the eye is drawn to. I really like that phrase, and I feel like when it comes to the boars specifically, that really does pan out, because their face makes up so much of the front end of the model when you're looking at them. Like, yeah, that checks out. Okay. Doug, if you could add a new unit type to your bone splitters, what would I want? Oh, okay. Okay, I got it for you. Battle Barn, great question. So there is a spell in the Bone Splitters army called Curse of the Were-Boar. Okay, the idea, like there are werewolves, were-boars. And I want a unit of were-boars. I want them to be kind of like the equivalent, I guess, to brutes. You know what I mean? It's like the Iron Jaws all have Ard Boys who are 2 wounds, normal orcs. And then there's that next tier between them and the Mega Boss. That's what I would want. I want were-boars. And it is 1000% lore relevant. It's dependent. It is canon. And I want it as a unit. Wargamer Willie, I have hundreds of orc models, from Jaws to Splitters. I just love the big stabbers. The idea of 2 orcs grabbing a giant spear and making the dream work with teamwork. What's your favorite orc? That is a solid choice for that exact reason. Like, I can't... There are a couple people in life. I'm going to count, Jack Ballard. Yeah, really all the rerolling 1 guys. Like, just friends in my life that if I were to just randomly show up at their house and be like, hey, grab that end of the lawnmower, we're going to go attack something. And you like just pick up a lawnmower and start, just some real world equivalent. I would do that for them. If they came to my house and were like, Doug, I need you to do this. Yep. It's just straight up. Do we just become best friends? Yep. So yes, you are correct. That is the coolest unit. And it shows us that not all group projects are bad. So for me, my favorite orc unit. I have to go with the Wurgog Prophet. Like, this idea of there's magic we don't really understand, and this guy, in a way that's different from like weird boys who channel magic, but like this guy doesn't seem that crazy. In fact, he seems weirdly confident for being like a magic user, which is weird amongst the orcs. So I think he's weird, and just this whole like the tiki, kind of like the mask aesthetic that he's wearing. I don't know. It's really cool to me. The model that they made in Underworlds, I have it. I'm probably going to use that as my Wargog. Well, no, I'm not gonna, because my buddy Jack painted me my Wargog. For some reason, I was thinking I had an unpainted one. But so I'll use, the Prophet model. I like that old. What hero did he used to be? I can't remember. I don't recall. Do I have 10 here? That's all I need. 3. So, oh yeah, that's more than enough. Okay. Let's see. So anyway, I want to go Wargog Prophet. If not, I love the Savage Orc Boss pose where I wish there was an Iron Jaws version. I wish that there was a Cruel Boys version of it where they're just in full melee lunge. If you've never seen it, let me show. Here, I'll go to the shared screen. It's this guy. It's kind of an odd picture because it's from the side. I guess this one probably does it better. But when it's just an orc in a full frickin' charge, and I wish there were more kits in that. A lot of the orc stuff tends to be very static. Like, the Gruntas are an exception, but because they look like they're moving forward, but a lot of, like, you think about the Ard boys, the Bone Splitters, even the newer orcs for Cruel Boys tend to be fairly static, and then you add this guy with just motion, and then his rules are after he attacks, you can pick another orc unit or Bone Splitters unit within so much of a distance, and they get to fight, which isn't super unique, except that it's not it's not like unit locked or anything like that. And so one of the things I've seen online that sounds super fun is taking 6 orc bosses, which it doesn't actually add up to a whole lot of points. It's just like basically a unit of heroes, and that's exactly how you play them. You just daisy chain all of their attacks. You pick one guy, he gets to activate, and then he gets to pick another Bone Splitters, and then there's another Bone Splitters, and there's no end to that chain. Okay, I want... Yeah, some of these guys have broken teeth. Wargamer Willie, thank you so much, buddy, for throwing something in the tip jar. You're a champion of the hobby. Can feel love and appreciate... Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. I am just a dude. It's all I got. His name was Wargog the Great Green Prophet. Oh, okay. Wurzag. There we go. That sounds more familiar. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that was an actual thing. That's a good boy with his tongue hanging out. Yeah. So as I've been kind of just cleaning these guys up, I've been looking at a few different articles about Bone Splitter tactics, and I have the link in the chat if you just scroll up if you joined us a little bit later. But yeah, so those are the battle traits for the Bone Splitters as we've been talking about. For me, I like the Tireless Tracker, being able to move up the board and get early access to all of the various objective markers and stuff. So as far as the sub-factions go, this particular author highly recommends the Icebone. If you don't know, what that does is if you roll 6s to wound in melee, it deals mortal wounds equal to the damage characteristic, and this sequence stops. When you consider that it's on 6s to wound, that's pretty great, I think, because there's fewer ways to kind of mess with that. There also, which means it doesn't nullify the exploding 6s to hit, which they get for their core ability. But now you're throwing more dice at a problem. I like that, because that's all they can do is throw dice at a problem. That they have one hammer and everything happens to look like that particular type of nail. But they're throwing dice at everything. And then when you talk about units, like say the big Stabba or a rogue idol, and you start thinking, oh, well that means that their damage profiles, which are 2 and 3, also go straight through as mortal wounds, as 2 mortal wounds, as 3 mortal wounds. That's kind of a cool idea. So I understand why he likes it, especially, you know, if you do stuff. Oh, and also it unlocks Boar Boys as battle line, which is part of the thing, because it's about efficiency in terms of like wounds and how fast you sacrifice units and that kind of stuff. So that's their concept. Now the one that's always struck me, and I know Jack over on Reeling Ones is interesting, is the next one down. Is it? No, it's the bottom one, Drakfoot. And that unlocks their elite infantry, the Moor Boys, as battle line, which honestly isn't truthfully too much of a gain. They're fine. But the big deal is that nobody can take ward saves against attacks that come from them. Now, I guess I just don't know how prevalent ward saves are. I mean, because in a competitive sense, like I know there's ways to give them to units and things like that. So I guess in a tournament setting, I'm not used to how many ward saves are generally for a given unit. So debate amongst yourselves. That's when I kind of default to Jack of like, oh, okay, so it seems like ward saves are a pretty specifically big problem out and about, it sounds like. And so, let me move these guys out of the way. Now we gotta clean off some heads, and then pick the 10 that we want to use. I know I want the ones that have, like, are missing eyes, because, let's be honest, that sounds cool. Wargaming early, I've been using Pewter Grimgore Ironhide as my Savage Big Boss. Nice, I like it. Lord Billy Doug, how about feral squigs covered in fur? I'd be down for that too. I would be. I'm picking all the more unique heads out. There we go, there's my one-eye boy. There's the other one-eyed head. I like when there's a little bit of fur coming down the front of the head. But I know that variation's important. Okay. Apologies for the quiet there. Did you say you were on Warhammer Weekly tomorrow? Yes, I'm talking Fire Slayers. I'm very excited about that book. It has what I think is probably the most interesting Path to Glory system I've ever seen from Games Workshop. And then when I say Path to Glory system, I'm including like Crusade stuff from 40k. But they, to me, it is just the height of awesome. And so it got me super excited about the army. I was about to pull the trigger on a trade, because get out of Stormcast and get into Fire Slayers. I haven't done that yet, but it's definitely on the horizon. It's what Doug does. Welcome to 2+ Stuff. I flip armies. But yeah. Ward saves are big in that they are one of the only ways to stop mortal wounds, which are very prevalent. Okay, I understand. So it's just that they're super significant for other things. Even if I'm not the one who's necessarily like, they didn't obviously come for the mortal wound threat of bone splitters. But it's the main shield that's out there. People are building towards it. They need safety from mortal wounds and things. The greater good. Hope you have a great time at the event. Bring us back the underdog trophy. I want to so bad. Jonathan, I'm busy painting up some Gloomspite stuff and hearing this Bone Splitters. I'm keen to get some as an ally. Oh yeah. You know, it's one of those things. Are they the smart choice? No. But sometimes the stupid choice is fun and faster. I'll never forget, there was an episode of The Simpsons from when I was a kid. Homer goes, there's the right way, the wrong way, and my way. And Bart goes, isn't your way the wrong way? He's like, yes, but it's faster. I was like, I appreciate that sentiment so much. I'm gonna mess this up, but in a fun way. I actually, Gloomspite has been an army that's, you know, I guess I'm more of a contrarian than I think I am sometimes. For me, whenever anyone says an army sucks, I immediately want to play it, with the exception of Sylvaneth, because I just don't want the Wildwoods to have to deal with that. But the minute anyone's like, you know, Fire Slayers aren't really that great, I'm like, all right, give me that army. give me. It immediately triggers the special snowflake within me to be contrarian like that. So anyway, all I have to say, yes, I've thought about Gloomspite Gits a few times, specifically a Squig army. I don't think I would do the big blocks of infantry. So Squig and Spiders have always seemed really interesting. The Trogs, I'd like, I don't know what I would like to see them do that would be a little more interesting. I mean, I do think they're more interesting than they ever were before, but I don't know. I want to see a second pass. What does that look like on the Gloomspite book, you know? Plus the Bad Moon thing I felt like was a little bit lackluster. Like if you read the book Gloomspite, the Bad Moon coming over is like an extinction level event. Like every single person in that book was just like, we are effed. And in the game it's like, oh good, 1/8 of your force can now do nothing? My army is Sylvaneth, and I just can't fully appreciate my army because of the Wildwoods. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring up a sore spot if that is one for you. I just, you know, it just felt like the idea was very cool when they were the only ones who could do anything with terrain. And I would have been okay with, you know, special considerations on rules, and I would have been more forgiving, but now that terrain is kind of everywhere and it's not special, I'm like, well, if it's not special, they don't seem to be doing it in a very fun and interesting way. So why are we doing it at all? But then I also now see that, like, well, they worked themselves into this corner, and now people are going to be pissed if all of a sudden they don't need 6 Wildwoods or whatever the heck. I'm like, well, that's also fair. They did that one to themselves. That's what you call an oopsie poopsie. Hey Doug, thanks for all the content. Your Conquest videos really inspire me to pick up the starter box. Looking forward to playing some games after I build them. That's awesome. Yeah, I need to get back to doing lore videos for that. They released their newest army, and if I do say so, it sounds pretty cool. It's the Dominion. It's sort of their Hell Demon Spawn Chaos faction, but like a mortal kind of flair to it. They have these weird, macabre, Dark Souls looking monsters. What would a Tzeentch terrain feature look like? I don't know, but I know it would be different every single turn. Get it? Because it's changing. Give it a second. It'll come to you. I do this to my wife all the time. It drives her insane. Wait. Explain the joke poorly and then go, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Ah, you'll get it in a second. That has to be why you're not laughing. Not because my jokes are stupid. Let's see. But David, to answer your question honestly, probably a throne of some kind, I feel like, or maybe like a super, I don't know, ritual palanquin or something like that. I could see something that's summonable. Like, I think that they would bring it. You know how like the corn altar, its lore is that it erupts from the ground in death metal rifts. I feel like it would have something similar to that. Dead and Thriving. I love the name, by the way. Thank you so much for throwing something in the tip jar. Just finished reading the new Kragnos book, and it's a great companion to Dominion. Human Gur natives, Gurite fun, Kragnos, and finally an Archeon level threat. I actually, thank you for the no spoiler review. I actually just started listening to it. So I am very excited. I was able to grab it on Audible. Thank you, Games Workshop, for making most of your catalog available. Make more of it, please. Yeah, I was on, so I just downloaded it and I've been listening to it. Got through the first chapter. Very, well, I don't know if it keeps up this way, but at the moment, 2 chapters in, my review is that they're very characterful. Like, the characters literally are just very interesting sounding. They do sound different. You can get the tension between the mortals from Gur, known as the Reclaimed, and those people who came from Azir. They have this weird animosity and affinity, there is the word I'm looking for each other. Chaosy Roman boys. That's a good way to say it too, for sure. For some reason I didn't realize that there were specific heads, but for some reason this one doesn't want to seem to sit in there. Or is there something in there? No? Let's try this. I feel like they could be simple tokens like grave sites for Legions of Nagash. Yeah, I mean, I had no problem with the idea of using you know, an actual piece of terrain for the forest. I don't think that was the problem. It's when so many of the units have the rules baked into their war scrolls that, like, are you in the woods? No? Well, you should be. Kind of a thing. Where it's like, okay, but at what point do we as players, like, move and, you know, play the game with our opponent? It seems like we're doing a whole lot of sitting in the woods, Fern Gully style. And that's cool to, like, read about in the lores, but on the table, it's like, well, I have to, like, move and, like, do stuff. Eventually, right? That's kind of the whole game, isn't that the thing? Although I do feel like that training camp day is very simple. It's like, what do? Sit here in the woods and kill anyone who walks up. Okay. What do I do with this bow? Shoot anyone who comes near these woods. Sit in the woods and don't do anything. What should I do with these scything talons? Sit in the woods. Don't move. Just constant. Just the same instructions for everything. Oh, I didn't even realize I still had the, I'm sorry, the article pulled up. Apologies, everybody. Oop. Do we have any Nighthunt or Daughters of Cain players in the chat? I am curious to know what people in those specific communities are excited for when it comes to the new battle tomes. My experience with Nighthunt, because I tried them for like a hot minute. It's just like my heroes kept dying before I could really do anything with them, and they have a great spell lore. But I would love to know some other thoughts that are out there. And I'm not talking competitive, I just mean, what do you feel like the army is lacking and where can it improve? I'm not talking like, what'll it take to get Nighthunt to go 4-0? Sorry, 4-1, not 5-0. And then Daughters of Cain, I've never, I feel like they've been a threat since the minute they were released and have never truly gone away from the top table, so I don't really know what people are excited about there, or if it's more like nervousness about losing something. Yeah, that shot doesn't look right. Nobody? Ah, it's okay. I get it. Hopefully we'll have more people in the chat once those books get released. You come out of the woodwork. I've always been a Nighthunt fan. Doug, I'm painting eyes. Pray for me. Never good at eyes. Never was. Although, mainly it's just because when I go to clean them up, I always just repaint them by accident. It just for some reason always happens, no matter how careful I'm trying to be. I don't tend to make them cross-eyed. I feel like that's kind of like a thing that people talk about a lot. Not so much, but, you know. Daylight Express. Personally, I hope Nighthunt are -1 to hit with shooting because I imagine it's hard to shoot ghosts at range. Maybe something like what Cruel Boys have. That's the sixes cause a mortal wound, right? That's the Cruel Boys thing. I would love it if they did more with Bravery as a stat. Like, even if it's just, you know, hey, these spirit hosts, when these spirit hosts swing at an infantry unit, if, you know, their bravery, how do I word this? If their bravery is so-and-so or whatever number or lower than yours or however you want to word it, you know, it does mortal wounds instead of wounds kind of a thing. And the attack sequence wherever. Basically, if some bravery mechanic, then they do better. I think that would be kind of a cool idea. Because I want a faction that meaningfully interacts with bravery. Right? And I think that they could absolutely be that. Seeing as how fear and terror are kind of their jam. Fortunately, I haven't seen a Nighthunt army since early 2.0 in person. Oh yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, they do have a stunning model range. I think that's one thing we can all agree on Nighthunt. They don't lack for character when it comes to their models. I want to see Lady Olander, their Mortarch, get turned to 11. I want her to be on the same tier as the other Mortarchs. Nagash hired her for a job. She should be good at it. And I mean that in an encouraging way. Like, there's no reason she is so vastly different from the other Mortarchs. How about enemy units can't use Inspiring Presence? Oh yeah, I'd be down for that. That could be a cool one for sure. I'd love more bravery shenanigans. Yeah, mortal wounds on 6s. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the Cruel Boys guys. Yeah. Like, you know, I mean, you know, keep them bravery 10 and then give them stuff like, hey, if our bravery's higher, or because obviously then it wouldn't work on demons and or most Seraphon, which I think is fitting. We got, okay, there's my hole in the head friend. Evening from the UK. Gutted Mr. Stream from the start. Oh, it's okay. I haven't been going for too long, I don't think. Yeah, about an hour. No, I'm having a good time. My wife, she is a writer and she's trying to learn to do like dictation to increase her daily word count. And so she took over the downstairs to dictate without me in the way, just sitting there. I get it. That's why I talk to an empty room instead of with a whole bunch of guests and stuff. There we go. Is it Scoose Sensei? Hey Doug, what's the lore behind your Bone Splitters army? You know, I am still trying to figure that out, what I want their story to be. I know that I want to have my prophet be named Durgrogs, because Doug Griggs is my name. As for anything else, let's see. Maybe one sec here. Some of these. This one specific head has a weird jaw setup. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Apologies. And they're going to be from Gur. Without question. What else? I don't know. I'm still working on it, man. It's a great question, though. I gotta nail that down. Because I got the army and I knew I was gonna slowly chip away at it, and then when what's it called? Vault Wars, the GT I'm going to in May, was announced with an underdog award. I really just leaned into like match play, and when I get into match play brain space, like lore is irrelevant to me. I'll make that up later. I want to be able to like play at an event and at a certain level, especially if I'm trying to win something. So like, I guess my point is I'm saying, as far as the casual nature of my army, I have not put a lot of thought into it yet because I wasn't expecting to so soon. Mortal wounds based on the difference between your bravery stat and your opponent's units. If it's like I wouldn't say like that's the damage it should do. But if it's just like, oh, that could be cool. Like at the end of a bravery phase, maybe it's just your bravery phase to make it less painful, but for every unit that's within 3 of a Nighthunt unit, check their bravery compared, and I don't know, maybe like if the difference is 1 to 2, it's this many wounds, that kind of a thing. I'm not sure how I would word that, but it's an idea. It's a solid idea. Just like having that difference matter in a significant way. My best friend in TO plays Nighthunt. He has it all 60 plus RAS, 20 hex. Oh wow, that's really cool. They're one of my favorite armies to play against. Not suffering rend is a difficult thing to counter. Yeah, dude, for sure. Daylight. I'm honestly just excited for more Nighthunt lore. I'm hoping they get some different. Yeah, I get that. I'm sorry, I had to read your comment to myself first. I'm kind of huffing glue fumes in here, my god. Yeah, I see exactly what you mean, yeah. Just some more... Yeah, because the book launched, there was a new army, right? The Soul Wars thing, and I feel like maybe it needed another pass in the editing phase just to like... Hey guys, give us some more new stories, right? Because if you've kept up with the events of the Soul Wars, then you pretty much already knew everything that happened to them. So it didn't add a lot background wise. But now we have some time. Okay, I had to open my window so that I don't die of poisoning in here. So if you hear weird sounds, I'm sorry. It's just the outside world. I hate it too. Block of Nerd, that's a cool username. Yeah, hey, how you doing? Okay, whenever you're attacked by Nighthunt, you take a bravery check with +1 to the roll. If they fail, they suffer -1. Oh, so basically, yeah, do a bravery check. I think I could see people I like the idea, I'll be honest with you. It depends on how many units they think people are going to be fielding. I would just hate it to see people complaining about the game slowing down. Well, now we have to do a bravery test, kind of a thing. I could see that. That's on the forefront of many people's minds is time, especially if you're a TO. Viridian Forge, what's up? It's been a bit. Welcome to the stream. You're good. We're just building models. Appreciate to see you again. You always ask great questions in the chat. I appreciate it. Gives us something to talk about. And if you would like to talk about something, you know, in these lulls, I'll take any request if you throw a topic out there. But in addition, if anyone throws anything in the tip jar, their conversation will take priority. But yeah, Dragon King, your idea. I think there is a way to work that in, though, of like, you know, maybe you can streamline it to like having it just be like a quick check. So like, you know, count up the number of Nighthunt units engaged with enemy units. If all of those units have a lower bravery value than 10, then X. Because at that point, you just do a quick sweep across the table. Like, okay, well, they are, you know, not involved in combat with a demon or whatever like that. There's nothing here with a bravery 10. So we know that X effects applies. And then if there's like 1 or 2 characters, then why? Kind of a thing. So I do think that there are a lot of ways to do that. I just specifically meant like, well, I don't know how I feel about individual unit by unit checks, but I do think there are ways to do checks army wide that make sense as well. Elrit, anyone try Stormground? Is it cool? I have played quite a bit of Stormground actually, mostly in the background because I wanted to really formulate my thoughts on it. And then I ran into a problem where, so you start off as your mission of like trying to kill a Nighthunt enemy, and then it moved me over to trying to kill Nurgle stuff, which is cool, like a campaign progression. But the problem is, for whatever reason, on some specific Nurgle maps, the game crashes every single time. And I have been basically locked out of going further in the AI campaign. I'm sure playing against pretty sure that the online play is great fun. I just don't really care for playing against people online, if I'm honest with you. I want to relax and tune out. I don't want to like worry about the power builds and that kind of thing. So I do like the game. I feel like it needs some care from the developers. Just the little patches here and there. There's just something about the Maggotkin maps that I'm on where it just freezes, locks, and closes. So let's see. But yeah, I mean, you know, I'll keep you updated because people have asked about it in comments. So it's a game, you know, folks are talking about, and if that's the truth, then I'll keep talking about it. But yeah, just know it has a couple issues, technically speaking. Viridian Forge, your Fire Slayer lore videos are seriously tempting me to start yet another army project. Same. Okay, we're gonna move our hog train up here. Wargamer Willie, what if people start talking about what army they like to fight, not play? Oh, that's a great topic. Yeah. Throw it in the chat. What is your favorite army to play against? And I'm gonna put the rule out there, not just because you kick them in the face every single time, like an easy win. Give me a good reason, whether it's an epic moment or something like that. That is the stuff that I am here for. For me specifically, I'm just thinking. I really enjoy playing against Soulblight Gravelords because I feel like they play the way they should. Like, I lose to them all the time. I'm just not even going to hide that fact because I refuse to lean into a heavy shooting list. And that's to my own detriment. I know that I could at any time go nuclear and get the long strikes and other such assorted BS and probably take my friends to task. But I love the thematic aspect of just I think it was when I was reading one of the End Times books and there was undead fighting in one of the cities. And it was just this idea of like the heroes on the good guy side, well, on the human side, good is relative, but they look and they see the vampire, like you can see it, and you know that in and of itself is an incredibly difficult fight. And then just like the sinking feeling of the vast distance between you and them is just flooded with thralls. And like there's just something about that thematically that I just love. And so even when my Stormcasts come down and charge in and all they do is decimate some zombies, which they do, like, again, the vampire's right there, I see you, but you're just out of reach. And there's just, I don't know, I like it. I think it's cool. Let's see. The shields have the hands in them? Yes, they do. Okay. So they're probably my favorite to play against. I also... I'm trying to think of other ones. I think Beasts of Chaos are probably another one. So yeah, Skaven. Skaven are a great choice for that. What else? Another one that I played against. I had a great time at Holy Havoc with the Deepkin player across from us. That's with the old Battle Tome. Because he brought all the fun stuff. You know, he brought the Leviathan, and he's got... I don't know. It was just a big, stompy, nasty monster list, and it looked like a lot of fun. Any army I can have a good combat scrap with? No range for me. Yeah, I do kind of feel the same way. Like, one of my first AOS games, and this was before General's Handbook. It was like when Bretonia and Tomb Kings were still on the web store, kind of old. I just remember I had a great time. I had like 3 ogres, or ogre gluttons we call them now, and like a Bretonia guy charged into me, and we had a great time because we were just focused on like stupid melee combat. Living it up. Okay, so let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there an extra arm I'm missing? Oh, I see. It feels dumb when I know that I want a unit of 10 of these guys to build 2 banners. What do you guys think? Because I was just doing the math on the arms and stuff, and I just like, man, I don't want to spend 4 of my 10 dudes on superfluous stuff, the bongo drums and the banner, just in case in the future I want to have 2 different units. So, and so I shan't. Rule of cool, right? 1 unit at 10 with all the options is just perfect. Have to go, but I was glad to catch you on stream. Thank you. You have yourself a wonderful day. Tzeentch versus Tzeentch or Lumineth. All the spells, all the summoning. Yeah, honestly, that sounds super fun. Like, when you get an unstoppable force and an immovable object, both leaning into the dumbest thing possible, like taking magic to a stupid level, but they're just doing it in different ways. That sounds like a blast. I won't lie. Oh wait, these are the same arm, aren't they? They sure are. Except that one's not. Let's see. Actually, I have a better idea. We're gonna just throw all the arms off to the side until I figure out what I want to do with my life. Let's get these cheeks built. Let's see. Agreed on Soul Black Gravelords. They are relentless. They get you tied up and hurt you pretty bad. Yep. Yes, seeing Skaven explode themselves is fantastic. I want so much from the Skaven book, but honestly, a lot of my wishes just have to do with army construction. Because I really do love the balance that they struck at this exact moment when it comes to like more warp lightning or any of the effects where you can supercharge an attack. I just think they nailed it, where it's like, it's so good that you're like, well, why wouldn't I do it? And of course, you know, mathematically it will backfire, but it's true that it's, generally speaking, pretty good. And I like that. Because I feel like it puts you in the mindset of being a Skaven player, of just like, yeah, I understand theoretically it could backfire, but also I have the utmost confidence this is totally going to go my way. How could anything go wrong? And of course, then it explodes in your face. It's like, yeah, absolutely. Pardon me. Is there a drawback to having 2 banners and 2 drummers in a 10-man unit? Nope. None. It's more of a visual thing, I agree. Looks cool with a single banner and musician, but having 2 of each means you could also break it down into 2 squads. Yeah. Glad you enjoyed the game. We did too. We're making a steampunk theme army for Havoc this year. Nice. Oh man, I can't wait to see that. Can I ask what if you know what factions it's going to be? Just because the deaths themed stuff just blew my mind whole. But yeah, there's no penalty. In fact, it's probably smarter because then you can misplace a model or 2 and not have to worry about it. So like, rules is written, it's like this unit can have 1 banner for every 5 models. Okay, cool. So if one of them dies to battle shock by accident because I parked him like a dingus, well, I still have 1 of those in the unit of 10 or so, or 9 or whatever now. So there's good reasons to take it and no reasons not to. It's just aesthetics. Stormcast in cities. We're doing our best not to bring oppressive stuff. Well, you know, I respect that, and I think that you and I are of a kind. What my partner Jack and I walked away with was just like, we need more teeth. And I agree with him. We definitely made the mistake of thinking like, oh, narrative players don't play for blood. And then like Vince and Tom before the event the night before were like, smell fresh meat. Took us to task. So, you know, don't be afraid. I think leaning on the throttle, my gut reaction was not to, and I don't regret not bringing something a little more hardcore, but I certainly think I could have done a better job as far as with some of our opponents. Although I will say, like, just by sheer, you know, being good at model placement and where to go with stuff, Jack and I did pretty well with a lot of our games, to be honest. I mean, points-wise, we weren't super behind. And that was our experience too, yeah. Yep, we're both like, oh yeah, holy havoc. It's going to be a whole bunch of little fluffy snowflake lists. And then everyone was just like, no. You leave that nerd crap at the door. This is where men come. You're like, whoa, this jumped up a notch. It's not where men come. There are plenty of ladies there. But you know what I mean as far as like the no children allowed, I guess is what I was trying to say. You could always argue they're rivals, hell-bent on showing who's the best. There you go. Open question, does reinforcing a unit cost the same value as 2 individual units? Yes, yeah, they went away with the price change based on like the discount you used to get. Now it's just about reinforcement points is the resource you are spending. Here we go, the first official orc butt of the stream. If you came a little late, don't worry, you're just now catching the main event. Everything else was a preamble to this. Ladies and gentlemen, we have cheeks. Yep. Sometimes they are a little awkward to line up because they don't seem to want to stay near each other, but the good Lord split us all in different ways, and that's okay. Some are allowed to be different. Vince and Tom did the same to myself and Matt our first year at Havoc, a demo night the night before. And did an easy win, but I got 2 great games. I think I won overall. Yeah, absolutely, and that's exactly how I approached it. I was like, you know, once we got to like round, well, that's not, we didn't even get that far. Once we saw what other people were bringing, with a few exceptions, we were like, oh, we did the math wrong. we were reading the wrong tea leaves. This is pretty aggressive. But it was, in fact, quite a fantastic time. Okay. Now I got to learn how to do, what are they called? Grand strategies and swipe text. Sorry, Strength and Chuck, I don't understand. I'm not a cool kid who I don't understand the the hip lingo that the youths use. Jose would like to tell me, hi, would you tell me if the Lumineth live out of Hish? I want to do them from Olgu, the Realm of Death. Love videos, mate. Oh, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. So all factions can be from anywhere. Yes, they originated from Hish, but to my understanding, you know, they can have outposts and stuff like that, and they would most certainly have one in Shyish and Olgu, because Olgu is the twin of Hish, so they would have a reason to, like, yeah, and then and Shyish, they actually just invaded Shyish in Broken Realms Techless. So, yeah, they would absolutely have outposts there, and that is completely accurate. And if you have any other ideas and you're like, is this lore friendly? The answer is yes, you just haven't written it yet. Aha! The swipe. Okay. I get you. Makes total sense. And Viridian Forge, I do agree. Rule of Cool beats Canon. But I guess to me, you know, when I think about why a company would make the switch from Fantasy Battles to AOS, I do partially believe that it gives them room to tell a story, and it gives us room as gamers to tell our stories too. So like, Fire Slayers are from Akshi, but they're also can be from anywhere, because the whole point of Grimnir exploding into a bajillion pieces and going everywhere is that, much like the Dragon Balls here on Earth, sometimes they go great distances and you just have to go after them. So if he exploded all the way to Shyish, there they will be. Plus, never underestimate the desire for people to get away from their family. It's powerful sometimes. And all those guys, anyone who runs a Fire Slayer house has a Rune Father somewhere who's very disappointed in them. So it makes sense. They would pack up and leave anywhere. The Lumineth, they have some other weird daddy issues. So yeah, it makes sense. They would want to leave Hish. But yeah, you know what? I'm going to go check out what else is going on over here. Points towards Ominous Dark Forest. Does anyone know a good name for my purple and gold stormcasts that live in Shyish? Ooh. Trying to name a storm host. Give me just a hot second, I will help. But I just flicked an orc butt into oblivion itself. Let's see if I can find it. Oh no. It's all fun and games until someone loses a cheek, man. Blower. Well, I will just have the show go on. Do we have any extra legs? I don't think we do, because they didn't expect me to fling my legs off into the ether. Rest in peace, orc cheeks. Yeah, I'll find it. I'll find it after the stream. I know it didn't go far. Okay, I'm sorry. So, good name for purple and gold stormcast live in Shyish. You know, no, I don't. But a lot of storm. Well, it's not just about storm host, because it could be a specific outfit of an already existing one. So it depends. You know, I mean, not all of them have names based on their locations. Oh wait, I see it. Of course, it landed right by my power strip. So, me trying to wiggle the orc butt cheek towards me with my Andre the Giant toe. There we go. Got it. Man, I am nailing this YouTuber thing. The burdened host. Ooh, I like that. Okay. Ooh, the amethyst bulwark. I like that. Yeah, I was trying to think of something with amethyst because I feel like that's a great shout out. Yeah, even, you know, amethyst hammers. Because it also depends on what kind of culture you want them to have, right? Because you might choose something like bulwark, or if you wanted them to be defenders or something like that, but you might choose hammer if you want them to sound more aggressive. Here we go. For some reason, sometimes I just don't want to line up. Knight's Reliquarium. Ooh. Or you can go something that kind of has a macabre theme, like, I don't know, Sons of the Hourglass or something like that, where it's got that kind of like creepy, you know, like where it's not technically death, but it's like death adjacent. Yeah, I mean, just because hourglasses exist as a motif on a lot of Nighthunt stuff. What's also helpful, I'm sorry, I went to go say this earlier, but then I got distracted by these cheeks that didn't want to line up. And also, maybe you don't have to name the whole storm host, but you could just name like a unit or a regiment or whatever like that. So like, there's like there's the Hallowed Knights, but within that are the Steel Souls, which are led by Guard of Steel Soul, you know, where it's a name kind of used as the unit identifier or moniker. There's a whole bunch of options. You got nothing but options. I'm very excited for today's rumor engine. It looks like Rough Riders. Hopefully they aren't mutant or have gas masks. So I don't know much about the Rough Riders. I don't know much about... I would say that my understanding of 40k lore is very surface level. I know a fair bit about the Primarchs and stuff like that, but I've never did like a super deep dive. But, you know, anytime I see a lance with a grenade attached to it, I'm intrigued. I think that's fair to say. If you're at a bank and someone walks in with that, you would also be intrigued. Oh, today has just turned a direction I did not foresee. If I like Steel Souls, I didn't think of that idea and have been trying to incorporate Jade into my army name. Oh, there you go. Can have the Jade Souls. just straight swap out the material. Hell yeah. You're just guardsmen on horseback. Okay. Hey, I dig it. The redeemable thing about 40k lore has always been the exceptional ridiculousness of, like, we have tactical nuclear weapons. Run forward and let me hit them with my sword, you know? I'm going to deliver the nuke personally I'm going to attach it to the shaft of my spear. Nothing could go wrong. The Rain Man, another orc army, technically the first orc army. I got my bone splitters back from Jack. This is what we call a twofer. Okay. Let's see. I have been wanting to start making some YouTube videos to help with moving projects along, though I am not privy on editing software. Okay, here's a crash course. Go grab yourself a webcam from a store. It could be a cheap one. This is an older one that just faces downward, and then I have a DSLR, like the fancy camera up above. But you don't need a fancy camera to start, honestly. If you're just talking hobby progress stuff, don't worry about it. Grab yourself a cheap camera, a good microphone, because audio is more important than visuals. Why? Because we're all sitting around painting. That's all. That's the main reason. As far as mics, I use a Blue Yeti. Great sound quality. You can get them fairly cheap at Best Buy, all mics considered. It's not terribly expensive compared to a studio mic. What else? Take a look at this kit. Need to look this bad boy up online. You could do bingo with Doug's armies. Oh yeah. And should. The only things you'd never will land on are most death factions and Daughters of Cain. Oh, and Slanesh. Savage Orc. What boys? Okay. So this is what I was missing. I kept thinking I had the wrong arms because I thought that they were, the shields were in the other hand. So that's why I was like, wait, this doesn't make any sense. But their shields are raised up in the sky as they charged in. I probably could have just read the instruction manual. That's about 3 inches away from me. But by golly, I decided to go the long way. Embers of Dawn. I like that as a suggestion. You could do bingo at Doug's Army. I heard that. Found an old dwarf cannon today from Battle of the Past box set, turned into a warp lightning cannon. I love it. Never change. Daylight Express, no love for Father Nagash. My thing is, I like death as the concept for a faction, but what I don't have an interest in is 25 mil bases out the nose. Like I just don't want to have to deal with that. And so when I first saw rumors of the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, I had thought that they were going to be on 32 mils, like even just the Mortek Guard, and they weren't. So I was super disappointed, and I was like, nah. So that's the main thing. Now I know that there are certain army builds, like obviously I could play a number of Flesh Eater Court lists and just use the horrors and the Crypt Horrors and whatever the other flying ones are called. But, you know, there's things that you can do within Death, but none of those specific builds particularly interested me. I mean, honestly, I could see the Nighthunt. I could see the Crypt Horror list just because Flesh Eater Courts have my favorite lore amongst the Death armies by far, because they're tragic, and I think Nagash chose cheap tragic. Like, all his people are, like, in pain, suffering, all these kinds of things. And, like, yeah, it's sad, but it's so everywhere that it loses a lot of its effect to me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so, you know, I think that a good opposite, they are just not in the right state of mind. I'm still waiting to see ogres. Once upon a time, Doug had an ogre tribe for a couple weeks. Yeah. That's it. That's all I got to say about that is yeah. Sure did. And I tossed that hot potato straight into the sea. I'm just kidding. Totally understand that it's very horde heavy. Yeah, that's always been the thing. Is I just want something slightly more elite. I don't know what that would look like necessarily. I don't know. I mean, certainly it would be easy enough to bolt on, but I feel like for the most part, once they release a faction, that tends to be like the battle line choices it gets. They don't add just a lot of flat battle line to stuff anymore, I feel. After the initial release, I'm saying. That could be totally far off with a lot of the stuff that if someone's thinking of stuff that I forgot, but it seems that way. Gelto, what do you think will be... Oh, what do I think the unrevealed Order and Chaos Battle Tome will be? Would love it if it was... What? I don't know. I can't imagine it's... Beasts of Chaos. They just got a White Dwarf update. I can't really imagine it's Khorne, although I want it to be Khorne. Because they're just now getting one. Unless they do the greatest bait and switch of the century, I don't know. If I could pick another Chaos faction, I would definitely go Skaven. I think Skaven have always been one that I said, like, you know, for being their most iconic intellectual property, right up there with, like, Space Marines and stuff. I mean, it's just one of those things, like, it's a fantasy thing that Tolkien didn't make himself. Even though I'm sure there were influences, and I'm sure I'll get yes and actually into the oblivion with that one. But they feel very much like their own thing in the GW world. And so I don't know why they don't get more treatment. As far as the order one goes, I don't know. I mean, this is going to sound real crappy. Part of me wants it to be Sylvaneth because I just want them to keep taking swings at that army until they figure it out. If that makes any sense. But conversely, it's like I also don't want them to get to a point where we're all just like watching them do stuff and we're like, stop, he's already dead. You know, like just stop, let it sit for a bit. When is a book you know, over analyzed and enhanced and that kind of stuff. Overworked, I mean. Plus Kurnothi. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if they added something to it, absolutely, I would love that. Oh, okay, we'll do the boring thing. We'll make 2 sets of dudes for weapon banners and stuff. I'm working through the Radachek's Doom Coven box. Oh yeah. One thing from the painting the Storm Fiends is that I hate painting Storm Fiends. I respect that. I think I've painted Storm Fiends before. Yeah, I definitely had some when I had Skaven. Because I, for the hottest of seconds, wanted to do a Scryer army. And then I was like, oh, so you mean it's a Skaven army with like 13 models on the table? No, good sir, I'll see myself out. Cities of Sigmar, maybe? Yes, I think that's a strong contender. I would love it if they redid Cities as the Dawnbringer Crusades and really emphasized flavor with the various missions of the Church of Sigmar kind of a thing, and really kind of leaned into that. I think that's the way to go. Lovely model, Storm Fiends. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're incredible. I even love the little creepy baby Bjorns on the back, where it's just got a backpack full of brains. Love it. I love seeing them move in the game Vermintide. I don't know if you've played that one, but they are gnarly looking, to say the least. When the big rat moves around and the little guy in the back is just flailing. Just imagine like whipping around and like your brain is just kind of like on like a ball and chain. They added a build your own city style. Yeah, I think that's a possibility for sure. I could also see, based on how they wrote Dominion, I think it can make perfect sense for them to be like, what vision, like every Dawnbringer Crusade army has, you know, a gifted of Sigmar. So in Dominion, it was the main female character, who was kind of able to see strange things, and she had these signs important from Sigmar. So depending on what sign they are following, they will get various army rules. So if it's like things yet to come, maybe you get to re-roll stuff because you're seeing something in the future. That kind of thing. Maybe if it's, you know, a land that must be claimed, you get better stuff around objectives because you're trying to seize property. Stand fast and you get a more defensive buff. I don't know. I could see that being a cool idea too. But yes, whatever it turns into, I want there to be customization. That much I can absolutely agree on. Okay, we got orcs. We got cheeks. All accounted for. 2 by 2. They slapped. Okay, and so we are going to just kind of pick out the special stuff as far as like instruments and that kind of thing. Debating on buying Thankful. Oh, he's a great mini. I don't know anything about him in the game. I'll be honest with you. Thankful is the best model ever. I can get behind that. I could see strong reasons. That whole era of models when they made super epic stuff for end times. I mean, that's where we got Thankful. It's where we got the Storm Fiends. It's where we got the Glotkin and Blight Kings. Like, man, that whole era of models was just like freaking dope. And I think it's because I feel like for a while in terms of fantasy battles, there just hadn't been a release quite like those ones, the end times releases. I think, well, when you look at all the, it's corporate nonsense, but when you look at what Games Workshop says about the end times of like, it's a fitting send-off for an epic setting and that kind of thing, you look at it, you're like, well, I mean, they're not wrong. That was epic. You got some kick-ass models and stuff. Oh yeah. You are technically correct. The best kind of correct, GW. Hey Hugh, it's been a while. Yeah. David loves seeing Thankful on rerolling ones. Yeah. Yeah, that was shoes. I know he still has them. I know he collected all that Skaven stuff. I don't know why he hasn't used them in a while, but then again, they've been busy, guys. Lockdown hit everybody. Viridian Forge, thank you so much for throwing something in the tip jar. As such, you get to choose our topic, as is the custom. Let's see here. I'm thinking of digitally sculpting a Root Kings themed Dwarven proxy army. Do I go Cities of Sigmar with Sylvaneth and Fireslayer allies, or just go Fireslayers? That is entirely up to you. I guess it depends. Really, my question to you back on that would be, what is the scope of the hobby project that you want to do? Because I think right now it would make the most sense to start towards Fireslayers, because it's a limited project, meaning there's only so many units in the Fireslayer book, i.e. like 6, I swear. And so it's a great first goal of like, hey, I'm going to build this much. And then when you get to that point, then you can be like, what else can I do with this aesthetic? And then you can easily broaden the scope of your hobby, because then when you get into Cities of Sigmar, there's just so many options, and the book, we know it's set to be renewed, whereas the Fireslayer book is as current as it's going to be for a while. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of different choices involved in that, so it kind of depends on what you're looking for. And again, the scope of your project. That's one of those ones that no one can tell you, because, you know, everyone on the internet's going to tell you, do everything, until you get halfway through it and you're like, this is becoming work. It's not fun anymore, and you want to stop. That happens all the time. Wargamer Willie, are you excited for the new Futurama? I am. I'm open to whatever. I feel like the last seasons just didn't grip me right that they did. But, you know, I'm always open to more Futurama. For me, my favorites will always be the older ones, just because at this point it's just nostalgia for me. I'll try to get out of here. Yeah, whenever people bring up doing a project that involves the Cities of Sigmar, I'm always 100% for it, but I think that is a faction because there are so many choices and so many options, and those options you have to be willing to be okay with them changing eventually. Like, there's just a lot that I would never tell anyone not to, but it's just like, you know, decide on the scope of the project before you ever start buying a thing. I think that is important. I mean, sometimes it's real easy. You're like, hey, I want to do a Anvil Guard army. Cool, they got a box for that. You know, and it's no problem, no hesitation in recommending something. But especially when it comes to projects like where you're gonna kit bash stuff, like, whoa. Just know what you're signing up for. Keatscast, hey, thank you so much. Heyo, any advice for breaking through hobby burnout? GW has been frustrating lately, and I just hit a wall as I bought a new army. You know, I'm gonna be real with you. That's a fantastic question. Hobby burnout is a big deal. I do also agree that Games Workshop has been somewhat frustrating lately. And if nothing else, sometimes internet people, and by that I mean people who talk to you online differently than they would in real life, can be obnoxious and suck the joy out of the hobby. As far as advice goes, I have a few things. One, crack open your battle tome. And you said you just bought an army? Remind yourself why you bought them. And it could be competitive. It doesn't have to be a lore thing. It could be this, you know, you're reading through the rules of the guys because this combination of things sounded really interesting. I'll ask, what army is it, Keatscast? So I think certainly remembering why you fell in love with something or why you got excited to do X is a fantastic use of your time. Too much of the life we spend is focused on things we don't like. As far as other suggestions for you, I think filtering out negativity online is important. I would never, ever tell anyone to unsubscribe for any specific content creators. What I will simply say is that in this digital age, whatever you watch, the internet feeds you because it wants you to keep consuming. And I'm not going all dystopian here. What I mean is, if you choose your inputs wisely, much like in real life, the digital life is the same way, you can curate what kind of world you see. So if you fill your feed with people who are hobby positive, sorry, glitched out there on the words, and you follow people who make you feel good about things you love, you will love those things and you will continue to enjoy them. The internet is a giant echo chamber, but you can use that to your advantage, is what I'm trying to say. We're gamers. Game it. Make it your happy place. That's what I do. So I think that's an important one. Another one, let's see. I think playing games actually helps. Like, I know you said you just bought an army. Get to 1,000 points and then just see if you can get a game in. Because for me, when I lose steam on a project, what generally helps is just engaging with it. Almost always helps snap me out of it, just because now you're doing the thing, right? You get to see the models in action and on the table, and they're just so great. That happened to me a lot actually with my Slaves to Darkness army. Where it's just like, I need to be reminded of why I like these guys. Straight up. So yeah, playing games, and also the benefit of playing games with people in real life is it takes you out of that internet mentality. Because we're sitting here talking about, in this cast alone, when we've been chatting, I mentioned I didn't like the Sylvaneth terrain features, the things I don't like about death armies. Like, you can just collect these discussions, but there's nothing that will ever replace the experience of sitting across from another human being, hanging out, rolling dice, and feeling epic for 3 to 4 hours, So I think, again, remind your brain why you like this. And I did it today. I put a question out on Twitter that just said, what's your favorite thing about Warhammer? My favorite thing is when heroes get into a combat with each other, because it's always epic, and sometimes there are huge ramifications. And I like when those things are meaningful and they are as epic as they're supposed to be in the books. Other than that, and sometimes it's okay to take a break. For me, my break was called Pokemon Arceus, and it consumed the last week of my life when I was sick. And I no regrets. Let's see. Anyone else, if you have any suggestions for Keatscast just to reignite hobby love, go ahead. And I will say sometimes, I know this might sound unhelpful, but sometimes you just got to sit down and pick up a paintbrush. Like, if you take the time to remind yourself, hey, I like doing this. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to paint the hell out of something. Just the act of getting started will oftentimes jumpstart passion. This leg doesn't look like it was supposed to be on there at all. This whole time he was sitting there, I thought he was drying. Nope. Doug, to me, what I like about Warhammer is the lore and the setting and the art. Yeah, right on. That's an amazing game. It's a new Eldar army. Getting out to play is good. I was thinking about painting up some Mandos for Legion. Oh yeah, just because I like the models. My wife is gonna buy me a Switch for my birthday, so maybe that. Hey, there you go. I mean, like I said, it's the biggest takeaway is just like your life is too short to waste with something you don't like. So if you need to take a break, that's cool. But more importantly, remind yourself why you love the things you do. What are we building? These are savage boar boys. It's an amazing game. Pokemon can never go back and feel as good as Arceus did. Yeah, man. If they could redo all the old games in the open world format, I would play them all. Just straight up. I do tend to focus on the nostalgia baits that were my original ones. I was emotionally attacked that they didn't have Bulbasaur in there, but I somehow persevered. Bulbasaur is the best Pokemon. Fight me. And I'm excited to see what's next. I got 2 more pigs. Where did I drop? Oh, here we go. What happened, by the way, to Wurzag? I mean, maybe it was covered in a End Times book and I just didn't see it, but he got when the world ended. Has a tendency to do that. Get you. As anyone who survived 2020 can attest, apocalypses are decidedly a bummer. I collect lore books, box games, but I don't play big battle scene. Been looking into Warcry and Fireteam. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I anymore, I tangentially love AOS the game. Like I want to have a whole army to be able to play it, but I feel like mass army games are exhausting when it comes to setting it up and the amount of time required and all that kind of stuff. Like I am falling more and more in love with skirmish games or quicker to play ones. Yeah. I'll back you up on Bulbasaur. I always knew Jordan was the best in this chat. I always knew it. I don't know you, Jordan, but we just became best friends. I don't know you. I do like this idea of soulbound, like RPGs. Yeah, I actually wanted to try this year. I was going to have it as a goal of trying to run my first ever Soulbound game so that eventually I could stream it with people. But as I have not yet run a role-playing game and have only ever played in like 2, and not even for full campaigns, I have been somewhat hesitant, dragging my feet a bit, you might say. Didn't they just drop Champions of Destruction? Yeah, it's something like that. K-Nettle, I think it's unknown what happened to Wurzag. Yeah, I agree. I mean, they could absolutely bring him back with some absurd way of, plot armoring him. I only say that as a broad thing because, I think by and large, when a planet dies, most stuff on it does. But you are correct in that, just like Sigvold, they could bring anyone back any way they want. And I'd be cool with that. I remember there was someone in the comments when Sigvold came back and they're like, this is dumb. I don't like how contrived it is that they went through all this work to get him back. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man. This, if you don't like do Ex Machinas, I don't think you like Warhammer. If you're not super into someone just pulling a MacGuffin out of their rear end and saving the day, do you even Black Library? If they add the Umbreneth, which Grand Alliance would they join? To replace them? No, I don't think anything would be replaced. I think they would just join Grand Alliance Order. Because, I feel like Techless would smooth things over. Give them a place to be. Just because they... Order doesn't mean good, it just means against tyranny of chaos or Nagash. And you still want to have a civilization. So I feel like that still leaves destruction as being... Oh, sorry, destruction. Still leaves order as being the main choice for them, but that's... We're moving into speculation here. I feel like Kordrak feels like an AOS Grimcore. Sure. Yeah. And yeah, I would feel the same way about, oh, what's his name? Gotrek is to Grimnir kind of a deal, that kind of thing. There's one. Ooh, good point, Viridian Forge. Time for order versus order. I would be down for that. Heck yeah, man. Just call it like Realms at War, and they're just trying to all murderate each other. I'd be down for that. As long as they look aesthetically malicious. Like, I feel like for new people, they should be able to walk up and be like, okay, those are the morally good guys, those are the morally bad guys. Because at its core, I think that it should still be a simple story within those boxes. But, yeah. Rerolling Once is in the chat. Hope you're having a great day, buddy. Thank you so much. Don't know which one of y'all I'm talking to, but by golly, I'm glad to see any of you. Okay. So I have until, what, 3, is that 15 minutes left? Yeah, I got time. Can finish these bad boys up. Just realized this camera's pointed down really low. There we go. It's okay, I'm only 2.5 hours into the stream before I figured that out. Couldn't crafting. Have you noticed that all Death Faction involves bones, flesh, and blood and souls and a mix of these elements? Anything else come to mind? For me, it's memories. Okay, like Frankenstein's monster. I feel like it's a good point. I don't know. I feel like it lends itself very easily to certain aesthetics. How about that? So it's like, of course it is. But I understand that there are more things out there to build the story around. Order versus Order, Cities of Sigmar and Sylvaneth. See, I don't think Cities is going to be around. I think they're going to go another direction with it. Which could change the dynamic of why those two things would fight, is my point. Cities as we know them now might be different. Although I would be super into a whole like arc of Dawnbringer Crusade being like, no, we're cutting this forest down. And just a Sylvaneth be like, the hell you are. I just want to see more and more stuff with like Morathi having these intricate plans. That's what I'm here for. Boss babes and murder. Stormcast versus Hark Huron. That's a great one, yeah. And I mean, internal rebellion, like the Hark Huron, you know, because it was, part of it was a rebellion in terms of there were a local guard that rose up. I think that could be a compelling idea for sure. Here we go. We got our two bosses. See you later, Hugh. Valerian calls for help to finally remove Morathi entirely from the realms of shadows. I could see that. That'd be cool. I'm not sure what the odds of him actually asking for help are. Then again, we don't know what he's like. He's been, you know, he could have been learning lessons like Teclis was the hard way. I'm glad not all the Dark Elves support Morathi. I'm a little disappointed by the Idnith Deepkin two-faced behavior. I don't know or agree if it is two-faced. How about that? Because it is certainly selfish. Like, they are Deepkin first, above any other kind of form of ally or whatever. That's for sure. But, like, Morathi coerced him with that, and then offered them souls. And it's like, that's their primary mission, you know, regardless of allies. Their species' ability to proliferate throughout the realms is dependent on one resource, and she's offering it. I don't know. I guess I'm cool with it. They have an emo streak built in that I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I understand, you know, people who like, there is a very honor kind of thing that, like, seems to permeate their society. So it does seem a bit strange. I get that. Deepkin go on a mad raid against the Realm Lords. Ooh, yeah, that's some step brother drama. Think you're better than me just because Dad loves you? And I don't know if they're ready to crack open that can of worms. Although I would pay money to see a commercial where, like, Sigmar has to act as Dr. Phil, like a little thing the studio puts together. Walturnus, how does that make you feel? I feel like I should go steal your kids' souls because you didn't help us fix ours. It'd be an extended episode. I feel like that could warrant a whole season. You never understood me. Let me swim, Dad. This is how I express myself. It's gonna be great. Therapy's going well. Broken Realms. The price of treason short story is really good, showing how not our dark elves would follow Morathi. The test shows that Teclis, you are the father. Yeah, I mean, I feel like no one was really debating his fatherhood just because of the sourpuss that he has on his face and all the artwork. Teclis never looks happy, and then you look at the Deepkin and they also all look miserable. You're like, well, he looks just like his father. It's not a phase, Teclis. Exactly. I brought you into this world. I can take you back out. You've been threatening that for centuries. Do it if you're gonna do it. There's a whole bunch of ways this whole episode of Dr. Phil could go. But yeah, I mean, I feel like their involvement was coerced at best because she stole an important artifact of theirs. And then everything after that, you're like, well, I feel like it kind of follows their modus operandi. go. Man. These guys do not want to sit on their boars. I see Marathi's next move is becoming the only god of order. Oh, I'm sure that's certainly what she wants. Might be a few folks with something to say about it. More likely, Malarian lures allies and enemies to him and uses them to destroy one another. See, I would be into that. Yeah, make him sort of like a... I don't know, he's playing a next level game kind of a thing. I'd like that. I'd like for someone else to have a grand plan for the realms, not just Nagash. Because, like, he does, you know, I mean... His plan is that, well, once everything's dead and there's just death stuff left, and I'll just be in charge to rule it. And it's like, well, you're not wrong, buddy. But I feel like Order doesn't really have that. Sigmar's plan was just make Stormcast profit, I guess. Like, you know, he made them, but like, I feel like that's not on the same par as like Nagash and his Black Pyramid kind of planning. We need a plotter for the good guy side. What about the trader that Teclis has that Alariel mentioned to conflict with the Umbraneth? I don't know. I mean, just threads that were thrown out there. Excited to see where it goes. Ooh. I think even a mother would be hard-pressed to love that face. Okay. Yeah, I think. Well, I think that'll about do it. With that, we have fully built a squad. I'm sorry, 2 units of Orc Savage Boar boys. And they are going to need some time to dry, and I need to get some fresh air because this glue in a room did me no favors. So, I'm going to go hop out and take a shower and relax. You guys have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. Hope you're enjoying everything out there and having yourselves a wonderful week. I will catch you later. Tomorrow I have a Legacy of Atmos video going live on the new elephant faction, the Maxodons. But hope that you'll enjoy that, and then we'll get back to the Fire Slayers after that. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching and hanging out with me today. I'll catch you next time. Happy wargaming.